Hello, everyone. I'm Harold.
And I'm Davey.
And this is Yann.
Hey.
And we're back again in a follow-up to that video we did last week about the Ride Across America journey.
Yeah.
We're going to get a little bit more technical this time, and I want to delve into more about the technicality and the mechanics of you working on a VTX for that long endurance ride over those 7 days. And you were right there, and I kind of want to see if we can translate that to our riders that are on the road now, what they can be aware of in their short-term rides. I mean, this is the type of riding Caleb and his team did, the type of riding that most people would only do in about 2 to 3 years of riding. They did that in just a week.
Yeah.
So I want to see if we can give people a heads up and give you your views on the mechanics and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so it's I will say it's a lot of preparation, like every race. So everything happened before the race. Growing up surrounded by long distance races like Tour de France and things like that, what people don't see, they always see the racer on the road, but what they don't see is all of the work that the mechanic do after the race during the night. And what's really hard on a race like Race Across America is that there's no time off. So you always got someone on the road that can have a mechanical issue, but you also have to deal with the possible mechanical issues that the people who were riding before had.
Right.
So the preparation is really everything. Being really detailed. I have the reputation to be someone really detailed, to look at things with a different eye, and to always think ahead of what could go wrong. So most people will think, obviously, flat tires. That's a big one. Most of my racers were on tubeless, and to be honest, we had issues with flat tire. We had a few flat tire, tubeless and tube, so it didn't make a big difference to me. But also on a race like this, the way I prepped and the way I asked my racer, because they're all around the country, so they have their whole mechanic back home, is I made a little list, and it's about the same as when you go on the tour. The only difference, of course, is on the tour, you take your time. You have an issue, okay, it's okay. You stop on the side of the road, you find a bike shop. You don't have your own mechanic most of the time. But here, the power that those guys put through this chain, the cassette, we went through some that was pretty insane. So, make sure we put all brand new tires. If they had tubeless, whole fresh sealant, making sure everything is sealed properly, no leak. Brand new chain, because it's still 3,000 miles, and it's not like I said, you're 3,000 miles on a regular rider that grind some low gear. They're pushing hard. We look at brake pads, new brake pad, new disc. Of course, all of those change, I asked them to have them done at least 2 weeks before the race and ride the bike. I don't want them to show up with everything brand new without riding it.
Is that because you wanted to give all these new components they're putting on the chain and everything time to break in on the bike? See how it would work?
Especially disc brake. Disc brake, you're supposed to embed your brake pad with your disc. And also because 99% of the time everything is fine, but you got this 1% failure of a brand new component.
Right.
So you don't want to deal with that.
You don't want to be a 1%er.
Exactly. Or you don't want to be this guy. We had, for example, an issue with a rear derailleur. My guy wanted a brand new derailleur. I'm not sure what happened. There was some issue installing it.
Sure.
And so he brought it, and I put that on 3 days before. I wanted to make sure that, we call it cable stretch. That's not exactly the cable stretch, but it's just there's housing with little hand cap that needs to sit properly. So you always get a little bit out of adjustment. So I made sure to put this derailleur on 3 days ahead and have him go ride each day to set everything. And the tires, something, brand new tires are awesome, but you want to wear them out a little bit. So yeah, and so that is more general to the bike and cycle things, but to the trike specifically, some of the things, obviously you got 3 wheels, so 1 more tires to deal with.
One more thing that could go wrong,
Exactly. One thing that's awesome now those days is Caleb, we equipped his trike with full Bluetooth shifting. So that's some of the stuff on the mechanical point of view to try to get rid of issues. So you're removing the whole mechanical aspect of a cable that could break, a housing, or anything like this, or coming out of adjustment, and all you are left with really is a potential failure on the battery, or if you forget to recharge them. But those battery, I mean, they go for a long time. So, and we had 2 or 3 battery. So he's running a 1x12, a RAAM system. So we had constantly 2 or 3 battery, and we wouldn't wait. I will swap the battery no matter what, almost every day, and put the other one on charge. But doing that helped a lot. You're removing some issues, and you're getting some weight and some aerodynamic because you don't have all those cables.
Getting rid of cables, and that's one less thing to worry about.
Exactly.
And when you're on these long roads, you want to worry about only about riding, not your derailleur failing, your shifting failing, or anything like that.
Exactly. And the other thing with the trike is your alignment. So with ICE, you have an indirect steering, which is really nice. But I noticed that sometimes if you hit something, a pothole or something, it's a little bit easier to get out of adjustment. So you want to make sure that, so your tie rod, checking your ball joint, you want to make sure that all of those are looped properly, that everything is smooth, and the trike is aligned properly.
After each day, when you get home, when you get to your hotel or you'd stop to work on the bikes, what would you check after the long-term riding that you've done for the day? Would it be all the tires and things, or what sort of issues would you see would arise after over time in the daily rides?
So here's the amazing thing. So we were 3 days before the race, so I had everything checked myself 3 days ahead, just to be sure that everything will be fine. Now, most of the time, my racers, I've been riding and racing for a long time. They know their bike. So most of the time is the basic check is I will do a quick run through the gears, check really quick that the brakes are still proper, aligned, there's no bent rotor or things like that, and make sure the tire pressure stay up. But the thing is, because they're good at what they're doing and they know their bike, trike, or hand cycle, most of the time they will already tell me. They will stop and say, hey, everything shifts fine until like the end of the day after 200 miles, and I noticed my chain had a tendency to fall down, or things like that. But the most important, definitely keep the chain lubed. Get the tire pressure right every single time. And of course, we talked a little bit about it on the previous interview. We went from 120 degrees weather to 35 at night to rain and stuff. So the tire pressure goes everywhere, you know, so you make sure your tire pressure is always good. When Caleb was riding his trike, I will do his tire pressure every morning, every night, whenever it's his time to ride. And you don't necessarily have the time, because the way that works is when he stops, I grab the trike, throw it on the rack, and he just give the relay. We jump back and we're done. So I will like at least by feel. You know, any professional mechanic who have experience know to the touch if a tire got lower.
If there's
exactly. So most of the time I will at least check that. And some other thing that we never think about, because it's not necessarily mechanical, but yeah, all of those guys ride with Garmin. You need to have night lights. You know, it's a rule with the race. So that's another thing. Always make sure the battery are charged, that everything works properly.
Even for past the Bluetooth shifting, or for your lights, for anything you're going to be taking on you.
And then was there any like really big thing that came up while you were out on the ride? Like any big issue you had to fix or you had to work?
So I'm going to get that out of the way, because it's kind of like I don't know how you say it in English, like a pride or something. But everybody was looking toward, like I said earlier, Caleb's trike, because you're like, oh my God, there's so many moving parts and stuff. But I prepared this thing so well that even Caleb, at the end of the race, Caleb is the only one that didn't have any issues.
Really?
Yeah, it's not to be like, oh, you know,
not like a point of, but like,
it's because of this almost like, what would be a right word? Like obsession I have, you know, for it to be perfect. Like I probably did stuff that I didn't need to do, but the trike crossed the whole country with him riding it. and came back on the back of an old Ford F350 something in the element. And he's like, I took the bike off, I cleaned it up, went ride it the next day, and it's like this trike was brand new.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's a lot of, like I said, preparation and just thinking ahead of time.
Yeah, that's super.
So on this trike, yeah, no issues. After, a racer is really, what's the word? You know, when you're like, no, it has to be this way because it always been this way. If it's not this way, I'm gonna mess up or something bad's gonna happen. Superstitious. Here we go. Superstitious. So my biggest things were not necessarily big mechanical issues. It was more that, for example, we had a racer that had a flat tire. Okay, they grabbed the first tire in the van, put it on the road, kept going. Well, now he had a 700 by 32 or 30 in the front and a 700 by 36 or 32 in the back. As soon as it was done, I had to, even if it was burnt tire, I had to change back to 700 by 30. Because immediately in his head, the tire was a little bit fatter and he felt like it was slower, which wasn't true because but it's more things like that. You really work when it comes down to mechanic. I mean, as a mechanic with this level of racer and athlete, you really work more with the superstition.
Right.
Like, one of them needed a brand new handlebar tape before the race. It has to be fresh. The other one, don't touch it. Because that's my handlebar tape I've been riding for so long. So one of our racers got those awesome rim and wheels.
Right.
And the problem is they're really specific. For people who know, the bike is a Cannondale. So anybody who knows about bicycle brand, Cannondale is his own thing. Everything is proprietary. Right. And of course, he had those spin energy wheel on it, and it's a special type of spoke. He broke 2 of them in the middle of the race. And so that's the type of thing, if you don't have the exact specific tool, you can't fix it. And lucky him, we had this tool.
Oh, good.
Dang.
But so other than that, we didn't have any real break. Like, all the bike made it. One of our racers scared himself a lot because it was a huge, crazy downhill. I mean, even me, when in the van, I was kind of scared when we went down this hill in the van. And so, yeah, he overhit his brake. And when you never did that on a bike, I mean, or a trike, basically you just start smoking.
Oh,
So, but all of those things are normal. And like I was saying earlier, that's the type of thing you don't see in the Tour de France. Those guys go crazy downhill, but you can be sure that at night, when the TV is off and you don't know what's going on, all the mechanics are changing disc, they're changing brake pads. So that's what we did as soon as it was done racing.
behind the scenes looking at
exactly. Yeah. But the crazy thing, like I said, is compared to that is all of those guys stop racing, the mechanic grab all the bike, does it. Here, you got to do it on the move.
Right.
So basically, when you know you got to work on a bike, and I explained it in the previous interview, we're kind of like this caravan, but not all together. Right. Well, they contact you on the com, say, hey, Yann, I need you to look at my bike. Okay, grab the map, you're here. Next time we're going to meet, you'll be there. Get the bike ready. I see you in 3 hours. Right. And as soon as we stop, I jump out and I work on the bike, yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So how was it working with the ICE VTX? Because
that was awesome.
Because you said you guys had like no problems. Yeah,
no
great time working on it.
problems.
So
I mean,
how was that?
The trike in general, it's weird what I'm going to say because I know a lot of bicycle mechanics don't like to work on trike. I think they just don't like something different. And especially if you're not equipped for it because you don't have the right stand or things like that. There's one more wheel. I mean, things can be a little hairy sometimes if you don't really know. I came to the trike industry because I wanted to improve my mechanical skill and I wanted something different. And yeah, the ICE VTX is like a racing machine. So if I was a car mechanic, it would be like working on a Ferrari, you know, or like for here, probably like a Mustang or, you know, like a Shelby. Sorry, my car knowledge. You know what I mean? One of those crazy racing
like a really cool car
that are so technical, but at the same time made so simple if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so the great luck I had too is I want to say it was last April. I was able to meet the ICE team in California on a big bike show. And because we did some modification that are definitely not ICE stock trike. uh, we had to. We're here to race. We're here to make record. And I listened to Caleb. And when Caleb said, I think if we do this or that, I can get a little bit more power out or be a little bit more comfortable, you just do it. So we did some modification that I was a little worried to bring out to the ICE team.
Yeah.
But they were so open to it because at the end of the day, anything that will make Caleb faster and the ICE VTX faster, they're all about it. Right. And they're even open to be like, oh, we never thought about doing that this way. Maybe that's something we can look into.
That's cool.
But we definitely cut a lot on the weight with all of the Bluetooth shifting. We went on a 1x. He was pushing, so if I remember well, on this race, he was pushing 62 teeth front chainring.
With a 62 tooth by
1
by 12.
Yeah,
so it was a 1 by 12.
Here's the thing. He wasn't supposed to climb too much, but just in case, we brought his 58 and his 62, set up the 62, and we had 2 rear wheel. One with the regular SRAM force, which is, if I remember well, an 1136, I want to say. And we had his climbing wheel, which is this one, an 11 up to, that's an Eagle, so I think 50. We never had to swap the chainring or the rear wheel. Everything went fine. At one point, for 30 seconds, I doubt it. We had it wasn't a huge incline, but we had this thing that just this turn was huge. And I literally watched him. I thought he was going to stop. And I just watched all of those muscles contracting and he pushed it through.
Ooh.
He was literally maybe 5 to 10 feet long, but we were not just in the middle of this climb. Right. But otherwise, we did everything we could. I mean, obviously, that's the VTX. It's already pretty light. We went full tubeless also. And so the few modification we did is we basically rebuilt. So the way the seat is, there's a little bracket that sit on the frame, and we wanted him to be more aerodynamic, so we wanted the seat to lower more. So we redid a custom bracket to be able to get the seat even lower. Ooh. And the amazing thing is that after doing that, because he's got a power meter, he was able to prove that actually worked. And by opening, I'm assuming the angle, I'm not into biomechanics, but
yeah,
that's my assumption. By laying a little bit and opening the angle at the hip, he was able to put more power through the pedals.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, he actually he didn't break any world record during the race because that wasn't the goal, but he told me that one of the fastest he's been on the trike. And looking at his parameter like power outage and things like that, he was like, I'm confident for the next world record because I never pushed that much watt before. Yeah.
That's super cool. It's so interesting how just small changes like reclining the seat back a little bit can
that
impact
that will change a lot of things. Cool. Yeah, we don't really think about. We always think about comfort, and that's the other thing because we had to think, how do we keep him comfortable because he's going for a long distance, and at the same time get more power and being more aerodynamic.
That's a hard balance to find.
Exactly, and I mean there's so much we can do. So for example, to the big surprise, a lot of people, even me when I started the industry, I wasn't really thinking about that, but he run drum brakes.
Oh, interesting.
Caleb's run drum brakes because it's proved that drum brakes, everything is encased in the wheel. And so we had, I'm trying to remember the name, those wheels were all enclosed.
Was it the Sturmierter hubs for the drum brakes, or were they different?
Yeah, you can buy the VTX with actually drum brake in the front, the 70 millimeter one, or disc brake. The disc brakes, I know people always thought about, oh yeah, that's gonna brake nice. Here's the thing, yes, disc brakes are awesome. I'm not, but they act differently depending on the weather. If it's cold, if it's hot, if it's raining, they can be really noisy. And also there's a lot of drag, because they sit under and over on the inside of the wheel. So the wind doesn't really circulate clean. Drum brake, everything is enclosed inside the wheel, and we put disc on the outside of the wheel. So now all you have, it's almost just like a plate cutting through. So, and drum brake, are not as powerful, but they act the exact same way no matter what the weather.
No matter the heat, no matter the weather,
Exactly.
they're going to be,
And
you know what you're dealing with.
exactly, yep. And I'm going to use this whole saying that we, as bike mechanic, usually we come from fixed gear, but Caleb uses it a lot. Is like if you know how to ride downhill, at least on the trike, you don't really need your brakes.
Honestly.
Yeah, but that's true because on the bicycle, you got to lean a lot. It can get scared. On the trike, like I said, I've seen it cornering stuff that I know with a bicycle, you couldn't have follow him in the corners. Yeah, with the leaning and the VTX stick to the floor. So, it stick to the ground. It take those turns and 40, 45 miles per hour. And you can't even follow him in the car. Because you got to slow down. You cannot take the corner at that speed.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Dang, Caleb sounds like an amazing trike rider there.
Awesome. Well, that's what it does. When you put so many miles on something that it's a bike or hand tire, you just learn everything about it, and it become a part of yourself. I think we don't, in one of our videos when we're comparing, it's really, we talk about that between the different tracks and how some tracks just feel like they're part of yourself, and especially going downhill, you feel you're just moving with the trike. It's natural.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very cool.
Well, we don't have everyone that's going to be doing these long 7-week rides continuously like the Dogs of War and your team there. What would you recommend for the person that is looking to do the 10-mile ride, the 20-mile ride every day, and to push themselves that way? What would you recommend they bring with them for maintenance, and how should they take care of the trikes and maybe themselves a little bit as a rider before they go out on a ride?
So, no matter what the distance, you should always have a basic maintenance kit, which is like anything for flat tires. I always recommend having tire lever for
You'd hopefully be using it when the tire's flat.
you want to have, depending, even if I run tubeless, I don't want to deal with tubeless on the side of the road. I can still get a flat. I bring a tube. Right. I throw a tube in there, bring a tube. A lot of things people don't think about, and especially on trike, there's 3 chains. So I always recommend to have a master link with you, and make sure you get the master link that fits your speed. If you have a 9, 10, 11, or 12 speed cassette, a multi-tool. Another important thing that might sound stupid, but make sure that you get a multi-tool that you know how to use. Because I've seen people who come up with multi-tool with 20 tools, or bring almost like a whole toolbox with them, but they don't know how to use half of those tools. So it's like, don't overload yourself. It's okay. Some fixed, you're not gonna be able to fix them on the side of the road anyway. But that will be really the basic, I will think. Make sure if you got the chain thing covered, if you got the tires, flat tires, a multi-tool, that's most of it. Another thing, and we're talking about people who might be touring or things like that, is I always have like a little pocket with like a little bandana in it. I had like maybe $10, $20, just in case I've seen time you break in the middle of nowhere and cash is king, they don't have a debit card or something. But the prep, really, one of the things that's been my frustration in the trike industry compared to the bike industry, most of my customer or friends in the bike industry, they bring their bike like beginning of the season, end of the season, so at least twice a year to the bike shop to have it serviced. I feel like in the trike industry, people don't do it as much. And some of the reason is, well, first, you don't necessarily ride as fast.
Right.
Your 2 front brake, you got 2 front brake. On a bike, it's a front and a rear. So people wear out the rear usually faster. Right. The chain is a 1 chain. The chain wear out faster with the gears, but on the trike, we have 3 chain. But sometimes, that's the thing. I will say, if you have a trike, you got to go at least once a year, get a tune-up, make sure everything is fine. Don't wait for the moment where you're like, oh, I feel like I'm getting weak. It's harder to push the trike, and you realize your alignment is completely off. That's another big one on trike. Here, when we do a basic tune-up, really, we check the chain, we check brake pad. Headset have a tendency, you got 2 headsets, they have a tendency to lose out easily, and things like your alignment. So that's something you can learn to do yourself, or you can bring it.
And we can do it
But
for you.
yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen
of
trikes
course.
sometime. I'm talking with someone right now about his disc brake. This guy's been riding hydraulic disc brake for 10 years, never did anything to them. And I'm even surprised because people don't realize those disc brake are, if they're hydraulic, you got to check your pad, but most important, you got to bleed them once in a while.
Right.
And so it's just I think it's more education we need to do for people to realize that it might sound like it's riding fine, but how many times did we hear you're on the front line, you're in the back, so you don't see it as much, but how many times did we hear people bringing a trike, bringing it back out and say, oh, wow, I didn't realize there was so many issues with my trike.
Right. You
It
know,
feels
it's
like new again.
we encourage you guys with any trike you get to become familiar with it. This is going to be a brand new toy and it's a brand new world. Engage with it, learn the bike mechanics. Even if you're not a great mechanic, it doesn't matter. You can be on a trike. You just have to work on it. And then, of course, if there's something you don't know about what's going on or if something feels off, it's likely that something is off with the bike. So bring it into us or watch a lot of the videos we have here about showing how to fix things or call us on the phone. I'm here on the phone all the time. Yann's a couple doors down from me, so I can run and get him for any help. Engage with the trike world, engage with us in the comments below, and remember to share this to anyone who might need any help.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have any questions for Yann, more about RAAM and any of the racing there, about his team, about how we do things here for our tune-ups, please let us know. Give us a call, email, and then remember, what should we remember to do, Yann?
To relax, spin fast, and ride trike.
That's right. Have a good one, guys.
See you guys next time.
See ya.